What is going on, everybody? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well. And welcome, guys, to the weekly headliner update, week number 39. Now, if you're new to the weekly headliner, this is where we discuss what is upcoming this week at Marvel Strike Force, and then we recap the important topics from the previous week as well. Now, this week, we're going to go over some Blitz numbers here. So for the Luminous Blitz, the first one that we had this past week, the numbers were a little bit higher. So we're going to analyze that a little bit here and see potentially where you should be shooting for moving forward if you're trying to land these numbers or trying to land certain specific orbs here. Patch expectations. We saw the kit for Lady Deathstrike. We already know about Omega Red. We're expecting that we're going to get some information here on Silver Samurai. What is this team shaping up? How are they shaping up? What do they look like they're going to be able to do? Are they just going to be primarily a war offense team or a war team? I don't necessarily think so. We also got some information on the proposed changes here for the Orange Gear economy and how that's going to change for the game. Some of it good, but I do think that there's a little bit lacking, in my opinion. And we're going to go through a Reddit post that also talked about some of that information as well. And then Doom 2 raids, that's supposed to be coming, war changes, guys, and so much more, guys, to talk about on this weekly headliner update. And we're going to start right now. All right, welcome back, guys. And if it's your first time coming to the channel here and you would like to see some more Marvel Strike Force content, then consider hitting that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so that you will know when my videos do go live. And then down below in the description, there's a few different links where you can join my Discord. You can also follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook as well, where I do post Marvel Strike Force and also Future Revolution content. I stream Marvel Strike Force and Future Revolution content throughout the week as well. And then some other links, my Patreon link where you can support my channel, and then also Amazon coins link as well. So if you're looking to save some money on your Marvel Strike Force in-game purchases, then Amazon coins is definitely going to be the right way for you. But let's jump into our first topic for this week, which is going to be our character blitzes, or our blitzes. But the first blitz for tonight is going to be for Ironheart here. Now, I know Ironheart's probably not a largely important character, so it might be an opportunity for you to blitz and chill. That's probably what essentially I'm going to do here. I am still doing about 3 rotations a day in blitz, though, just simply for RTA purposes, because you can get points for RTA now. And I'd rather blitz and actually do RTA. I usually use RTA just to kind of test out some teams here now. That's pretty much basically what it is. So I might do 3 rotations. So I don't know exactly where the numbers are going to land here, but some prediction numbers should go out a little bit later on. But if you're looking to get some shards for Ironheart, this is an opportunity for you to be able to do so. She is in the blitz store as well. And then the Thursday blitz is going to be more important, right? Because you're going to be wanting to get those luminous orbs or luminous fragments so that you can open up these luminous orbs for either cloak or for dagger. That's going to be on Thursday. Now, the numbers were a little bit astonishing to me because they were a little bit higher than the prediction numbers. So the prediction numbers for the luminous blitz were as such for this past week. So rank 1 to 100, you're looking at 56.7 million was what they predicted as the cutoff. Top 1%, they predicted is going to be 45.6 million. 2 to 3, 26 million. 4 to 10, 16.5, 11 to 20, you can kind of see that, so on and so forth here. When we looked at the actual numbers in game, the numbers were a little bit off here. For top 1 to 100, the actual cutoff was 62 million, 62,004. So 62 million was the actual cutoff numbers here. So I'm going to attribute the reason why the numbers and the predictions are probably off is because of the points changes. The points have gotten a little bit higher, so maybe it's a little bit harder for them to sort of narrow that down and try to figure out exactly where these numbers are going to land. I myself, where did I land? I landed at 18 million, which was enough to get me between 4 to 10%. I can't blitz that much anymore. I did like 3 rotations a day, and that was it for me. But top 4 to 10% is basically where I landed. Got me about, got me the 40, enough to get 45 shards for a character. I chose Cloak right now, and next blitz I'm going to be choosing Dagger here. So these, like I said, numbers are a little bit higher than lower, and on the prediction side, I do think that they're going to correct that, and you're going to see some better number predictions moving forward. But just wanted to kind of make that point out that if you're following these prediction numbers, that they were just a little bit off, and just kind of giving you an idea here of what numbers may potentially actually look like. You might need to go about, if you're looking to shoot for 1 to 100 and top 1%, you may need to go about 5 or 6 million higher than what you see the numbers are here. All right, and in regards to specific things that are happening this week, so this actually started this past weekend. It's the Unstable Elements event that they have going on, where you can get those those ISOs, right? So they have the event store here where you can get either your T1 ion orbs, your greens, or you can get your T2 level 1 ion orbs, or you can individually also just use these credits as well to just grab specific crystals that you're looking for in the store, so you can go land your blues or land your greens. Personally, I've actually been going with grabbing the ions themselves, because the ions seems to be a little bit more of a bottleneck. I feel like I can kind of grind out and just continue to open up the specific crystal orbs and I'll be fine overall. But the ions, really, the blue ions, the cost is just astronomical, so I've kind of been going with that. But curious to know what you guys are doing here with your elementary particles. But it's an okay event, not anything crazy, but it's an okay event to get you some extra resources here for your ISOs, whatever it is that you decide to do here. Now they also have another flash event that's coming back around this week, which is going to be Payday. You know the deal with this, right? So Payday, you need your merc characters in order to be able to get through this, to be able to complete the event, to complete the tiers. So this is going to be coming up on Friday. They are going to have double drops for these characters. So for your merc characters that are in these campaign nodes, there's going to be a double drop for them. So that what's Taskmaster, Merc Lieutenant, those type of characters there's going to be a double drop for those characters coming up this week. So pay attention to that as well. Now let's just jump into our patch expectations. All right, so we're going to talk about our patch expectations here. This is probably where the bulk of the video is going to stand. Pretty much what we're expecting this week. How do we feel about it so far? At least how do I feel about it? And of course, always curious to hear how you guys feel about a lot of these updates and new features coming or new things coming to Marvel Strike Force this week. So we're expecting that patch is going to be either Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. That's usually when it happens. So we should get some in-game messaging that says, hey, patch is going to be next day at XYZ time, right? So you're going to see that. But we did get an update on another one of these characters that are going to be coming to the Weapon X team, which is going to be Lady Deathstrike. So interesting that the traits here. So we know Omega Red got the mutant tag or the mutant trait. But here looks like Lady Deathstrike is getting the villain tag, the global tag, and then she's getting the tech tag. So a lot of us were all asking the question, man, hey, I thought Omega Red was going to be a tech character, or at least have the dual tag. It would make sense, right? As a legendary character to have both the mutant and then also have the tech tag, but they chose not to do that. They just went mutant with him. But here with Lady Deathstrike, they decided to go with tech, which I think makes a lot more sense just based on the origin of the comic origin. She's not actually a mutant character. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me here. But looking at her skills and her abilities, it doesn't look like she doesn't stand out as a crazy great character. It seems like she's a good character on the Weapon X team. Definitely going to get her and definitely going to want to use her, right? She's given increased focus as well. She's given increased focus to the Weapon X allies. She has good resistance against bleeds, which is going to be big going up against Heroes for Hire teams that likes to apply a lot of bleeds with Colleen Wing. So that's going to be a massive big deal. Also giving other Weapon X allies resistance to bleed. So that's going to help to keep them alive here. She's also lowering resistance as well on the enemies that also have bleed too. It's just some pretty decent stuff in her kit. One of the things that I like a lot here is with her ultimate ability. She has this rebound chain. And rebound chain, so we know other characters that have rebound chains, SSM. With her, she has this rebound chain to 4 adjacent targets for 280% piercing. And then she's also applying defense down up to a maximum of 2. Now, this is effective outside of war, right? So there's a lot of stuff that she does. There's a good amount of stuff that she does in war, or a good amount of boost that she gets in war. But this right here, she does outside the war. And with her having that tech tag, I'm wondering whether or not she might actually be a decent character for these Doom raids. I know that tech right now is a little bit of a struggle buggle. I'm using Ghost. I'm using, I interchange it. There's Shuri, there's Ghost, there's Nebula. Then I use the standard other 4, right? Kestrel, Doctor, Doc Ock, Doom, Minerva. I use it to kind of interchange the other characters, Nebula, Shuri, and then Ghost. So maybe because you're going to be building up this team for war, you're probably going to have an option here of being able to use Lady Deathstrike. Stats are going to be a big deal. See where her stats land. But from a kit perspective, I do like it. She has this piercing damage as well, applying defense down. She's applying multiple bleeds. I think she's going to be a pretty good character here. And like I said, I don't know exactly she's getting offense up for her special. I don't know how viable she's going to be outside of her team, but I do think that we've made a lot of mistakes with some of these characters before, thinking that they're not going to be good outside of their team, and then they end up actually being like a wrecking ball, like Heroes for Hire. Shang-Chi, Colleen Wing, and Misty Knight are actually pretty decent outside of the war mode, so I do think that she's probably going to be pretty good here outside of that war mode as well. I'm assuming that she's going to be the campaign character, which is the reason why they've announced her as being the next character after Omega Red. I'm assuming that she's going to be the event campaign character, and I'm also assuming that she is going to be the character that we're going to be getting offers for as well once the patch does go live. So curious to see here, like I said, how her stats are going to line up. Pretty sure that you guys are going to get some information on stats coming out this week with the Envoy videos as well, so that's going to happen too sometime later on this week. But let's jump into some other stuff that we're expected to hear from the patch, which is going to, let's talk about Doom 2. So your Alliance's next great challenge arrives with the upcoming version of 5.7 release in the form of Doom 2 raids. The follow-up to Doom 1 will bring a slew of rewards to those strong enough to take on the challenge, including new Teal Gear. So this is a big one, right? So Dark Dimension 5, you're gonna need this Teal Gear, so that's gonna be pretty big. You're gonna want to get into these Doom 2 raids, which is another little bit of a frustration point, I think, for a lot of players, because you are now forced as an alliance to try to do this. This is no longer based on your individual abilities to do things in the game. It's now predicated upon your alliance doing well in order for you to be able to get this Teal Gear. That's the portion of it that I don't like. They've kind of taken, you have to do this as a group, as a team, and yes, I guess that's what an alliance is good for, but also, what if you now have to leave your alliance because they're not able to do these Doom 2 raids, and you're looking to be able to get that content done, but you can hold up in Doom 2 raids, but maybe some of your alliance members cannot, and it's imbalanced. And I don't know, man. I don't like that this is being forced upon it. And then on top of that too, Doom 2 raids are going to be a lot more challenging, right? Doom 1.1, we do Doom 1.1 raids now 3 times a week, and the difficulty level has ratcheted up quite a bit from Doom 1.0 raids. So what is Doom 2 raids going to be? You're probably going to need to have level 85. You're already going to have ISO Blue in order to enter it, but you're going to have to probably have level 85. And eventually, if realistically, you're probably going to need to have Teal Gear to be able to be 100% it at some point in time. So I don't know, man. I don't. It's nice to know that there's a progression to get to someplace. I just don't like that it's tied to your ability primarily to get into Dark Dimension 5. That portion of it I definitely don't like. But they talked about requirements here. Alliance can launch Doom 2 as soon as they possess the minimum number of ultimate keys, but each difficulty has minimum requirements for each character used. The normal version of a raid requires T2, level 1 ISO 8, and the requirements increase to T2, level 2 for difficulties 1 and 2, and tier 2, level 3 for difficulty 3. To unlock the next difficulty level, your alliance must reach 100% completion for the previous difficulty. Doom 2 will have the same trait requirements as Doom 1, so make sure your top teams for these traits are equipped with the proper ISO 8. So they mentioned the same traits. I'm not sure if that means that they're going to be the same nodes, right? I don't know if they're just going to, it's going to be the duplicate nodes, and yeah, we know that they were going to do the traits, but I don't know if it's going to be duplicate nodes, if it's going to be the same sort of comp that you're going to be facing in these nodes. We are yet to see. Rewards, you talked about a little bit about that here. Your efforts in Doom 2 will not go unrewarded. Hitting 30% completion will earn you fragments for new Teal Gear Raid Orb, as well as Orange Elite Orb fragments, Raid credits, Orange ability materials, and T2 ISO 8 credits. Of note, the amount of Teal Gear Raid Orb fragments, Orange materials, and T2 ISO 8 credits will remain the same no matter whether you rank 1 or 224, which I think is actually a decent thing. And while Teal Gear Raid Orbs and Raid Orb fragments and Raid credit rewards will scale as you reach higher completion percentages in the raid and play higher difficulties, the Orange ability materials, Orange Raid Gear Orbs fragments, and T2 ISO 8 credits earned from Doom 2 will stay constant, providing a stable foundation for future progress. Falling short of 30% completion will earn you a smaller amount of raid credits, ability materials, and T2 ISO 8 credits. And they talked about this Teal Gear Orb right here. The Teal Gear Raid Orb will contain, you guessed it, Teal Gear. The left and right pillars will reward basic catalysts and stack catalyst parts for damage, focus, health, armor, and resistance, and orange Teal Gear, while the middle pillar will have 20% chance to reward Teal Gear unique gear. Teal mini uniques won't be available via the Teal Gear raid orb, and instead will be found in the store events and via various offers. So really your ability to really get this Teal Gear is going to be predicated upon ultimately your alliance doing well, and that's pretty much basically what it's going to come down to. There's really no other way to say it. Yes, you're going to have some options here, being able to get these mini uniques in these stores. You're going to have offers that are going to be available, but for the most part, it's going to be you getting these Teal Gear raid orbs, and it's gonna, which is also going to be RNG, right? So you could then get Origin Teal Gear that you may need more of one, right? I don't know. It's new and it's fresh, so I guess you'll take all that you can get. But what about later on, or as you continue to progress here, that you need more of one? What if you're getting too much of one and you're not getting enough of the other? I just don't like the RNG component of it here, in my personal opinion. That's just my thoughts on it. They talk about race season credits here, but they did mention this Experiment X, which I think is going to be starting this week. This is going to be an event for you to be able to get these Wolverine wild new costume, Teal Gear, and other rewards. Some of the rewards that you're going to be getting from this are going to be obviously Weapon X costume, which you're going to be, you have to use your pink phase bits in order to be able to do so. And then you're going to have this teal, orange, and purple gear, mainly the Teal Gear that's going to be a part of that as well. So I do think that people are going to go pretty hard for this event to try to land this Teal Gear. I don't know, man. I just don't like the alliance implications. I guess we expected this, so I guess we kind of aren't surprised by it. But just bringing this back up again, this reminds me of the fact that, man, we're gonna have to be pushing our alliance, and some people who are in alliances that are a little bit more casual, or in alliances that are the power levels are really, there's a massive discrepancy where that's concerned, you're most likely just not going to want to stay there anymore. And you're probably going to, if you're going to be able to push, if you can push yourself to get to this Doom 2 raids and find an alliance that can do that, that's going to be a big deal. Recruitment is going to be a lot tougher. I just don't like that from that perspective. But let's talk about some of the stuff here. And then in another note, they talked about some other stuff that they're doing here with the augmented Teal Gear, and they talked about some economy changes that they're making to Orange Gear here. So let's start. The next phase of the gear progression is on the way in the form of Teal augmented gear. Teal Gear arrives with our upcoming version 5.7 release, which is currently slated for September 29th. And characters equipped with Teal Gear will enjoy a major stat boost in battle. Our previous gear releases would imply that Gear Tier 16 should be another level of Orange Gear, but we have something else in mind. As we mentioned in our 2021 preview blog, we're going straight to Teal Augmented Gear. We already knew this, right? Acquiring Teal Gear. At launch, you will be able to earn Teal Gear from Doom 2 raids. We already talked about the requirements that you need to enter into those Doom 2 raids, and the supply store, the war store, as well as from the event milestones and various offers. So we expected the war store. My only thing about the war store is, dude, you gotta change the war store needs a rework. There's blue gear in the war store, there's purple gear in the war store. I think to a certain extent there should be less purple gear and probably no blue gear at all in the war store. The war store is just really packed and crowded. But yeah, they mentioned the supply stores here as well, which we know that that's going to be at a decent cost of your gold. So something else for you to spend your gold currency on in the supply store here. This orb rewards all. Doom 2 will also reward Teal Gear raid orbs via the raid completion. We read that already previously. This orb rewards all Teal Gear types, excluding mini uniques. So you want to start coordinating with your alliance so you can dive into Doom 2 as you are already. So I don't know. Once again, the alliance stuff, I don't like it. I don't like it. For commander levels 80 plus, the supply store and war store will each have one row located at the top of each store dedicated to Teal Gear. So it's good that it's a whole row. That's good. Augmented basic catalyst will have a dedicated store slot. The remaining catalyst parts, Origin Gear uniques, and Gear Tier 16 mini uniques will appear in the remaining shared slots. So kind of part of the course, right? The Teal Gear tree. They talked about a Teal Gear tree here, but really what I wanted to talk about was the Orange Gear availability updates. With the introduction of Teal Gear, we want to get even more Orange Gear in your hands so you can start powering up more of your roster. We'll be making several updates to the Orange Gear availability in Supply Store and War Store. In the Supply Store, most Orange Gear types except basic catalyst will now appear in higher quantities. So catalyst parts for damage, focus, blah, 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 decrease from 16k gold to 12k gold per item. Orange Origin Trade Gear decreased from 20k gold to 12k gold per item. And then Gear Tier 14 mini uniques decreased from 35k gold to 20k gold. In the War Store, Gear Tier 14 mini uniques increased from a stack of 2 to a stack of 4. This should be done a long time ago, in my opinion. I always had that question. When they changed the Gear Tier 15s in the War Store to a stack of 4 and then left the Gear Tier 14s to a stack of 2, I was like, what are you doing? Wouldn't it make sense to then also increase Gear Tier 14 as well? I never understood that. There are a lot of players who still need a Gear Tier 14 gear, and the access to them probably not even able to get through the Doom campaign as well. I feel like this is something that they should have done a long time ago, and they waited far too long to do this. And the Gear Tier 14s right now, trust me, they are definitely becoming a little bit of a bottleneck. I just upgraded some mutant characters. I upgraded some tech characters, and I looked at them like, oh my goodness, I have under 200 of these mini uniques. It's kind of crazy. So this is, listen, the G14s may start becoming a little bit more of a bottleneck. Keep in mind, there's going to be new characters that you're going to need to get to Gear Tier 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16, right? So, hey, the G15s and G14s are still going to probably potentially be a bottleneck here, but I digress. Orange uniques increased from 1 to a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 3. Superior basic catalyst parts increased from a minimum. So this is talked about a lot of prices here. We've also reduced the prices of the following gear. Orange uniques reduced from 1,015 war credits to 900 war credits. Okay, cool. Not that big of a number here. Should have dropped it to like 700. And then Gear Tier 14 mini uniques reduced from 700 war credits to 300 war credits. Okay, this is actually a decent, nice touch that they're doing here. But I saw this particular post on Reddit, and I thought this was interesting. This is by Raceland, who's actually made a couple pretty good posts here. But he asked the question, did Scopely really improve the orange gear economy? And I thought this was a really interesting post. So first, this is a huge improvement for newer and mid-game players. 100%. I do think this is very good for them, especially for a lot of players who we always make the recommendation. If you're an earlier player, skip Dark Dimension 1, go to Dark Dimension 2. This makes it significantly easier for them to be able to do so because the cost is going to be less. I actually love it for that reason. Now, primarily, I do think that they do need to change. Still, they haven't really, maybe I'm wrong. I didn't read anything specifically about the hero uniques, right? I didn't read anything about they call it something different than what we call it. But the hero uniques, I still think are something that they need to work on. And I saw the G14, the mini uniques, they mentioned the mini uniques, but I didn't see anything about the hero uniques. So that's something that they definitely need to talk about as well. But let's continue to move here. For vets, I kind of feel Scopely is wagging the dog and tricking players with these orange gear economy improvements. I say that because that was basically a lot of words to say Scopely is making it less painful to buy orange gear from the stores. Completely agree. They talked about just reducing the prices a lot, then they really talk about it being more available. It distracts from the truth that they actually haven't done anything outside of supply parts of that stores to make orange gear more farmable. Correct. Agreed. They didn't improve any of the orange raid orbs, right? Like the orange gear raid orbs. They didn't talk about them improving the quantity of the amounts that you're going to be getting from those orbs at all. They didn't improve any of the campaign nodes. Very, very, very clear. When Blue ISO was released, they made real improvements to the green ISO economy. I would have loved to see that with the G14s, for example. Agreed. For the G14 campaign nodes, double the drops and or let us farm their node 20 times instead of 10. It would have been a nice change. Or guarantees G13s in the orange elite orbs. Seriously, I've opened up so many orange elite orbs and I can't tell you how many times the low percentage drop that I get of actual good hero uniques, it's really not good. So I would have liked to see them make some changes there too. I actually agree with what Racing is saying right now. Or let normal orange orbs drop 15s or G14s or G13s. The G15s probably maybe not as much. Maybe to a certain extent, right? Maybe in the orange elite orbs, maybe give us an opportunity here to land some G15s. Same with the G14s too. Maybe, and then of course, like guarantee the hero uniques. Yeah, I guess to a certain extent, I do kind of agree with this. Anything that would have been genuine improvements from orange gear farming and even the store supply parts is not as great as it seems at first glance. First, players should budget how much gold they want to spend in the store per day. If you don't do this, you'll probably run into gold shortage problems very quickly. Agreed. Second, if you're a vet, you have to choose between buying teal gear and buying orange gear. I will say this though, this is intentional. They want us to do that. I'm actually not upset about this part because this is kind of one of those things where it's like, from a game economy perspective, I do think that this is actually fine. you having to make a decision between Teal Gear and buying Orange Gear, I think that part of it's okay. But if they had improved other areas like the orbs, then probably would have been more okay with it, right? And if you're buying Teal Gear, how much are Orange Gear pricing and quantity improvements really going to help? Similar, Scopely made Orange Gear less painful to buy, but they didn't improve Orange Orbs or Orange Gear farming, and you may not be able to afford to buy the improved Orange Gear if you're buying Teal Gear, which is also very, very, very true. So I like this. He does touch upon a lot of points here that I do think are very important. I don't think that they've reduced pricing, but they haven't really increased the amount that you're able to get into some other areas, which I think is going to be a massive deal and something that they definitely should have looked into. But some other things that weren't mentioned here in this that we're also expecting in the patch is, so they mentioned this here, Alliance War updates, right? Alliance War updates is something that they talked about. This is an in-game mail that we got this past week. We are expecting some changes with War here, which is the reason why I've been boosting up a lot of my War offense teams. The War offense team characters that I have, I've been boosting them up to level 4 green ISO because I know that I need to get them to be War ready. So I've been doing that here. There are some defensive teams that I probably would be doing that with as well. Probably just like 2 or 3 defensive teams that I'll get to be War ready. But we're definitely going to be expecting some of those war changes and probably some more information there. I did make a video earlier, headline video, where I talked about some of those war changes, and Philosopher made a video on this as well. Mobile made a video on some of these war changes too. So definitely take a look at those guys. But this is going to be it for this week. I feel like this video has gone on long enough, guys. More stuff we'll talk about in future videos. Sorry I had to like jam pack so many things into this one video, but listen, what are you guys looking forward to in this patch? How do you think that the Orange Gear economy has really shifted and has really changed? Do you think that it's going to make much of an impact? I do think Rayson was right. For newer and mid-game players, I think it's a phenomenal update. But the reality is that once you progress past that mid-game point, it's not that good for you. It's not as helpful as maybe what they thought to make it seem, and I still didn't see it. Maybe I missed it. Let me know if I missed it, guys. With the hero uniques, I didn't see anything that talked about how you're going to be able to get astral energy easier, or you're going to be able to get ballistic weave. It's not that one. Miasma, right? I didn't see anything that talked about that as well in this video, in the blog post. So curious to see how they're going to make those more available, because those are definitely the big bottlenecks in this game. In my personal opinion, I think right now, especially after leveling up Cloak and some other characters here. But listen, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Leave a comment. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Share the video as well, guys. Patch information coming out a little bit later on this week. So we'll talk about some more stuff where that is concerned as well. But as usual, y'all be blessed and y'all be safe. Oh, good Lord. I need me some tea. Oof. Yeah, I need some tea, man, guys. It's pretty big. Yeah, that sounds good.